Happy Monday, sixth grade. How you doing? Hope you had a fantastic weekend. Uh, we're gonna go back in time now because of the whole situation, setting up everything for distance learning and the uncertainty in the beginning of it. Had us do Rome first, which is something I'd normally do towards the end of the year. And now we're going to go back and we're going to talk about the Greeks, who in a lot of ways were a big influence on shaping the ideas of Rome. So, first thing we're going to do today is we're going to look at the geography of ancient Greece and what are some of the features. And we're going to see there's a lot of similarities to Greece and Italy because they're right in the same area of the world. So, where in the world is Greece? It's in southeastern Europe. And I'm going to be kind of jumping back and forth between screens. Hope you don't mind. Southeastern Europe. So if we look at the continent of Europe, here it is. You're up above Africa. If you're there, see? There it is, Europe. And we see the northern part, Scandinavia. We see the British Isles over here. Central Europe. And then when we get into southern Europe, southwestern Europe, we have Spain. Central, we have Italy. And then the eastern part in the south is Greece. Right here in the circle. How convenient that that circle is there. Greece, like Italy, is a land that is surrounded by water. The Mediterranean Sea is to the south. In fact, really the Mediterranean Sea is surrounding the entire country of Greece. As we discussed with Italy, the Mediterranean is so big that it has smaller seas within it, but they're really all part of the Mediterranean Sea. It's almost like a region of the Mediterranean. And then it's separated from Italy with the Adriatic and Ionian seas, and then is separated from Asia Minor, which we today call Turkey, with the Aegean Sea. So, and that Aegean Sea is going to be real important to Greece. So, if we look again, we can see the Mediterranean Sea here in between Europe, Africa, and Asia. And here is Greece, kind of in the middle of that whole thing. And this area right here is the Aegean Sea between Turkey and Greece. Here's the Adriatic, and here's the Ionian. But they're all part of the Mediterranean Sea, the world's largest sea. Let's get a little bit of a closer look at the land. Greece lies on a peninsula. So does Italy, for that matter. But Greece is a peninsula-based country. But unlike Italy, which is pretty much one big peninsula, Greece is actually two peninsulas for the price of one. Two great peninsulas. If we look here, we see in the north is the Balkan Peninsula. So from this area down is Greece. North of it is Macedonia. And part of this peninsula are many other countries often referred to as the Balkans, like Serbia, Macedonia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Croatia, among others, are all connected to that Balkan Peninsula. Then if we go south, we're going to see that there's a really thin strip of land right there. See that? That's important. That is called an isthmus. Sounds like somebody saying Christmas, but they missed the Chris. Isthmus. The Isthmus of Corinth. An isthmus is a very thin strip of land that connects two larger bodies of land. So here we see the Balkan Peninsula is connected to the Peloponnesian Peninsula, which is by this isthmus. Usually in between an isthmus, it acts as a bridge in between two bodies of water, which you can see here. So the Isthmus of Corinth is going to be a real important area of Greece since it connects the two. And then the southern peninsula, which is almost an island if it wasn't for that isthmus, that is the Peloponnesian Peninsula. Fun to say. Lots of P's. Peloponnesian Peninsula. fun. And if we look in the Peloponnesian, is going to be a city-state of ancient Greece that's going to be real important down here, called Sparta. We're going to talk about them a lot. And over here on the Balkan side, in the northern part, we're going to talk about another really important Greek city-state of Athens. Know those two. We're going to talk about them quite a bit. So, Greece, like Italy, is in a crossroad of civilizations. It's right at the border of Europe and Asia, and it's separated by the Mediterranean from Africa. So we're going to see that Greece is going to have a lot of cultural exchange with other civilizations in these areas. A, through trade, and then B, through conquest. In particular, a non-Greek guy, a Macedonian guy, is going to spread a lot of the ideas of Greek culture, also called Hellenism, throughout many different parts of the world. If we go to these areas of the world, throughout Europe, Africa, and Asia, we can see influence of the Greeks all over the place. Very similar to the Romans. The Greeks are very influential. So let's take a little bit of a closer look at the land in Greece. Here we see some rugged mountains, not sharp peaks like, say, the Himalayas that we looked at in between China and India. But if you need to get from point A to point B, getting around these very sheer cliffs, these rocky hills and rocky mountains would be problematic. And we're going to see that in a lot of ways, these mountains are going to separate Greece into smaller little sections called city-states, where they kind of act and behave and govern themselves independently from one another. Instead of having one massive empire, like the Romans built, we're going to see that there's many small civilizations inside of Greece, these city-states. But they share some characteristics, and in other ways, they're very different from one another. Another factor with the land that's real important. So, moving around on land because of these rugged mountains and large hills is a bit difficult. Maybe you might have touched on something like that in the Do Now I assigned you. However, there is a long coastline. How pretty is that? I want to go there. A very long coastline with inlets and bays that make natural harbors. A harbor is a place where boats can go and dock close to land, where the water is deep next to land. Usually if you have a rocky land, that will lead to cliffs and deep water near the land. And that means that a lot of boats can come in, and that means a lot of trade. So we're going to see a lot of Greek cities developed like this one here, right along the coast on natural inlets. However, if we go inland, because of all those rocky hills and mountains, it's pretty rocky. It's pretty difficult to farm. On top of it, we're not going to see many large river systems in Greece. Unlike the other civilizations that we've talked about so far, the civilization in Greece does not revolve around a river for its survival. In fact, it relies much more on the sea than it does an inland river. But if you recall, with our river societies, they use rivers for farming. So the Greeks are going to have to figure out ways to farm, even though they're in an area where the land is pretty rocky. In the Aegean, which is part of Greece, there's many small islands. These islands are rocky. Some of them are very small. Some of them are gigantic. They're all in the Aegean Sea. Here we see one that has a natural harbor. Oh, look at that. And these islands are very picturesque. Not all of them, though. Some, like Niceros, which I hope I pronounced right, are volcanic. There's a number of volcanic islands, and there is a good amount of volcanic activity that takes in seismic activity that takes place in this area of the world. What's the weather like? Here we see Athens. It looks beautiful. It looks dry and sunny. And that's pretty much what we're looking at in Greece. We're looking at an area where you have hot weather throughout much of the year that's fairly dry. Not a ton of rain in the summer. It has a very pleasant Mediterranean climate, similar to Italy, and has a mild rainy winter. It has a good amount of rain in the winter, but not massive frosts and snows. It can snow on occasion in Greece, especially in the higher elevation areas, but it's not you don't have very strong, wicked winters. So, for your question for the video review, I'd like you to write a 1 to 2 sentence answer to the following question. Where in the world is Greece, and what is it like there? Post your answers underneath. Have a marvelous Monday. Bye-bye.